Hey, my name is Josh, and alongside my wife Joanna, we have the privilege of serving Lighthouse Church North County as its campus pastors. And for the next few days, we're going to be diving into what is called the Holy Week. It is the days leading up to Jesus' crucifixion and resurrection. And my hope in our time together is that on each day of the Holy Week, you'll grab some truth, you'll grab some information there that maybe you didn't know about or hadn't heard in that light before, and apply that to your life. It's a powerful story, and we want to dive into Jesus' last days before his crucifixion. Thanks for tuning in. We read in John that 6 days before the Passover, Jesus arrives in Bethany. Now what's going on is all of the Jews are making their way to Jerusalem for the annual celebration of the Passover. And Jesus would come to Bethany, and that's where Jesus would stay as he was visiting Jerusalem. He would travel daily from Bethany to Jerusalem. When he was in Jerusalem, he would sit in the temple, and we'll talk about all of that in the days to come. What we really want to focus on is the fact that as Jesus is coming into town 6 days before the Passover, it is buzzing in Jerusalem. It's buzzing because this man named Jesus is coming. And to the believer, they're filled with joy to hear the teachings from this man named Jesus. To the skeptic, they've got questions. They want to know, is this guy really making blinded eyes see and deaf ears hear? And to the Pharisees, they were just afraid. They were afraid that they were losing control. And this Jesus who's coming into town is doing things they've never been able to do before. But one of the sticking points and one of the things that you find in the scriptures is that people were talking about Lazarus. Who's Lazarus? Well, Lazarus is one of Jesus' good friends who had died. There was irrefutable proof that Lazarus was dead and put inside of a tomb. Now, the story goes on, and many of you know the story, that Jesus would come 4 days after his death, walk into the tomb and say, "Lazarus, come forth." There was irrefutable proof that Jesus resurrected a dead man. And that was the sticking point, and that's what made this Passover different than any other. And people wanted to see Jesus, but they also wanted to see Lazarus, this man that had been dead. Now, what I learned from that scripture, and what I learned from all of this, is that Lazarus was the irrefutable proof that Jesus had done something. And I think in all of our lives, we have irrefutable proof of Jesus having done something in our life where we can only say, you know what? That had to be God. There was no other way but God. And I think that turning to those irrefutable proofs they're so important for us right now. With everything that's going on with COVID-19 and the pandemic that we are walking through, we've got to learn to look back at those moments where it was the hand of God in our life. It was clearly him. It was impossible to be anyone else. And cling to those things, because when we look back at those moments where it had to be God, it gives us joy for this current situation, that if he did it then, he could do it now. So what's the Lazarus in your life? Are you hanging on to it? Are you leaning into it with hope, knowing that he's done it before and he could do it again? I'm excited to continue sharing this story with you, but ask yourselves, why am I afraid when he's done it before? Why should I be in fear when there's irrefutable proof that God is in my life? Hey, thanks so much for tuning in today, and I can't wait to continue this series with you tomorrow. Take care.